Schematron is a topic that I really like, and we invested a lot in the last version to improve the development of Schematron to be at the same level with what we have for XML schema, more or less, with refactoring actions and so on. Dynamic content completion that will show components defined in different parts of the document. How many of you already know about Schematron? Okay, so everyone knows about Schematron. So I tried, stop me, if you find something that you want me to focus more on. So we were thinking about two parts, one on use cases, for what you can use Schematron, and one on the development support that we added. So the use cases are mainly the ones that I covered here, provide error messages that normal people understand, check different rules that cannot be specified in the DTD or XML schema or relax.ng. You can use Schematron for controlled values, checking against values in your document against the external data sources. Integrity checks across multiple files. Style guide integration, for instance, when you want to, as Hal presented earlier in the morning, if you want your content to be adapted for mobile devices, you can decide to enforce some rules to avoid tables and replace them with lists, or focus on a specific kind of structure within the vocabulary. Rick Jelife is the one that invented Schematron, and he suggested one of the use cases for Schematron that he found is end-to-end transformations. When you have a very complex set of transformations, maybe using XProc, right? And then you want to make sure that you started with 5 picture elements and you end up with 5 images in the document, right? Not 4 or 6, right? This kind of you have a black box, and then you check what was the input, and if the output matches what you expect from that input. Another use case is that Schematron can be used to allow anyone, even if that person is not a technical person, to define these constraints. And this can be done through abstract patterns. I have here an example, and probably I will not go to oXygen this time. For instance, an error message that you get from, or let me try to quickly get, so if you validate such a document with Xerces, for instance, the problem here is a missing title. You get this unexpected abstract, the content of the parent elements must match, and you get, something like that. While if we add also Schematron schema, you can get something like you have a title in this topic, but the title should be the first thing inside the topic. Now it is added after the abstract element. Please move the title in the right position. So you can provide this kind of error messages to the users instead of unexpected abstract element that your content model should be this, right? Schematron, the second use case was about enhancing the validation of that is provided by DTDs or schemas, and there are for data, for instance, Iarno, Elovirta developed some Schematron schemas to check some rules that are in the specification but not in the DTD, cannot be captured in the DTD or XML schema or in the future relax.ng. We also use them and we enhance them, for instance, checking that the ID attribute is unique within a topic. The IDs in data, the ID attributes are not XML IDs. They are just name tokens, basically. And they should be unique within a topic element, within the parent topic. So 2 topics in the same document can have the same IDs, but the ID should be unique within a topic. And we can use Schematron for that. or checking that a UI control is not is followed by a space or a punctuation mark, like full stop or something. So you do not end up with file menu, and the file and menu do not have a space between them, right? This kind of check is implemented here. You see, in this case, between UI control and menu, so file menu, we do not have a space. When we enter space, that error disappears, right? If we put this back again, this is highlighted and say the UI control should have a space after it, or should end with a punctuation mark. Okay, so the controlled values part can be done with using the document function. You can access a URL. That URL can be an X query, for instance, that will run against an XML database and will select some values. And then you can check those values against what you have in the document, right? And I also had an example showing, that we can check a revision is within the set of valid revisions in a document. Integrity checks across the multiple files. I use this in the implementation of data in RelaxNG, where we include different modules, and then one attribute, the domains attribute, should reflect all those included modules. So then we can check that value, that the value specified in that domains attribute as a default value for domains is actually what it should be based on the include statements. We go into those files, extract the values that should be in the domains, and you can check that dynamically. So we do not have a mismatch between what the domain said and what you actually included in a schema file. So you can combine Schematron to check your RelaxNG or XML schema files, basically. For the style guide integration, we use the C attribute, and that Schematron has this C attribute where you can point to a URL. So you can have a check in the style guide. So if I validate this file, for instance, I have a note here that starts with the word note, right? And my Schematron rules identify that. But then if I click on this book that is the C attribute value from Schematron, it gets me to the style guide page exactly that describes this problem, that says the markup should follow this pattern, but never this pattern, with starting with a note and things like that. So any problem that you identify can be, then you can point the user using the C attribute, to a specific URL where he can read more information about that issue. And in this case, we use this functionality to integrate the style guide or the DocBook guide or whatever with oXygen. And then when you determine a problem, you can point the user to a page where that issue is described with more details. I mentioned already the end-to-end transformations. Let me see. With the abstract patterns allow anyone to use Schematron, to use Schematron as a developer, not as a user. Why? Because, and I will finish with this, because let's say I define, you as a developer provide a set of abstract patterns, right? And in these abstract patterns, you use like XSLT variables, $ something, right? And this rule says, in the context of a parent, whatever that is, I check that the count of children is less than a maximum. And then I give an error message that it should be greater, less than that maximum, and then I check the count of children to be, if it's greater than a minimum, it's okay. If that fails, if this assertion fails, then I give an error message that it should be greater than that minimum. And then someone that uses, creates a schematron for data can create a pattern that says li in list items in an order list, right? And says is a restrict children. And then it says the parent is OL, the children is an li element, and the maximum is 5 and the minimum is 2, right? And in this way you can define these abstract patterns, and someone that wants to enforce rules, they just need to enter values for the parameters. So you just need to document them. These are the rules, these are the parameters, just instantiate them. And then anyone that has knowledge of the business or wants to enforce some constraints can use these abstract patterns to actually build the schematron files. Okay, I will end here because the time was spent in other parts. What we've done for schematron is that we validate, if you break even here, for instance, if we break something, we will get a validation error that will say, this context is broken because the expat expression is not working okay now, right? Because I provided here a parameter that breaks that, or so we improved a lot the validation error messages, the refactoring actions, and so on for Schematron. It's kind of the same level with XML schema, Relax NG support, and XSLT right now in oXygen. Thank you.